hello.
Well, hello.
How are you this morning or this evening, this afternoon?
Doing great, doing better than I was.
Yeah, you got over your whatever was over you under. You were under. You got over it.
Not totally.
Not totally.
I
Well,
had some
anyway, let me say hello to everybody that's come in before we start chatting.
yeah.
Hey, Linda, I'm glad you're here, sweetie. Marvita, I'm glad you're here. Welcome to Impromptu. And Pastor Norman's been missing in action for a couple of weeks, and so I was just talking to him about that. So let me know what's been going on with you, Pastor Norman.
Like so many others, fighting sinus with the change of weather and so forth. So batting back and forth with my voice and the sinus drainage and so
So
forth.
you have been preaching till you run your voice out. That hadn't been the problem.
Well, I don't think so.
Because
But I
you're good for that. You're good for that.
yeah, but I have a lot coming up this coming week.
Oh, really? A lot
Yes,
of engagements?
a lot of engagements and this this design they want to pray for my wife and her family. They lost a niece on Tuesday.
Well, they've
Um,
really lost quite a few people in their family recently, haven't they?
yeah, matter of fact, it is the sister of the young lady who passed away in March. So she had two
Oh,
nieces that were sisters. So we definitely are concerned about her sister
yeah,
Janie, my
yeah.
sister-in-law, who lost two daughters within 3 month period of time. So
Wow, wow. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. We will keep her in prayer and the family, but it's good to have you back.
it's good to be back. I miss you guys.
Yeah, yeah. Linda called you a slacker.
I'm a slacker. Come on, Linda. I'm not a slacker. I'm just I'm just busy.
She called you a slacker. She's so funny. She's talking about the language of talking the language of lack, and
hmm
she called it the lack talker. She
hmm
said she gonna be the back talker to the lack talker.
I like that.
I
What's up,
love it. Linda, you're funny. You're funny, and you're so comical, and but you're telling the truth the whole time.
yeah.
Leslie, I'm glad you're here, Leslie. Good
Yeah.
afternoon to you,
Hello,
sweetheart.
everybody. Good to have you here.
Yeah, and Marvita, do me a favor, sweetheart. I know you sent me that email about the thing you're hosting. Can you send me the original information you sent me before so I'll know how to promote it to my community? I don't remember what all you said. I know it was about Paul Coelho, but just let me know, sweet. Just send it to me, okay? So I can do that for you. All right. Well, let's see. What you been preaching lately, Pastor Norman?
Oh well, I started a new series on last night entitled "Awaken," and so we are like I shared with them last night. The conversation that I want to have with them is going to be more on a what I would say a spiritual mature platform where those like we've been sharing the word that you peg serious seekers um
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
really getting to the place of understanding what is actually happening. The whole universe is in a major transition. We've talked about the shifts that is occurring, and of
yeah,
course there are many questions that are being presented to me concerning all that's going on again with all the craziness, so to
mm-hmm,
speak,
mm-hmm.
and so forth. And so I've been researching. Of course, I've been listening as well. And so I on yesterday, that was something that was really impressed upon me, that I believe that we're in another, because there have been several awakenings that has occurred in the time of this particular dimension. I would say when we use the word revival a lot in church, we use it as a presentation of some type of particular service. We have our spring revivals or
Mhm,
our
mhm,
harvest day revival and so
mhm,
forth and so
mhm,
on, without really
mhm.
having true insight of what a revival is. It is an
Yeah,
awakening.
yeah.
So I began that series on yesterday to help them to understand that in order for something to be awakened or be revived, which means to be brought back to life or to be reactivated, that means it already had to already exist.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
so that is something I laid the foundation on last night, and we plan to just take that journey to help people to understand that
Mhm.
what's actually happening. People are waking up, and
Yes.
there are those that are challenging who are not conscious or aware of who God is and who they are. Because of that lack of insight, they're acting out. And so again, going back to Proverbs 29 verse 18, where it said there is no revelation, no vision, which is translated, but there's no revelation of God, of his word, and of yourself, then people
Mhm.
begin to run wild.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
because of the lack of understanding. Yep.
And also about without a vision, people perish. And
Exactly.
and we talked about that thing. I think on the last time that we spoke on impromptu, how that I remember my grandfather when he retired from Reynolds. He worked in Reynolds from the time he was a teenager up until he was in his 70s, and he retired and he lived maybe 2 or 3 months after. It
Hmm.
was because he had no vision, no purpose, no meaning, and he was just drifting and existing after that. And so people need something to look forward to.
Exactly. A reason to wake up in the morning.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be anything big or major, but it needs something that gives you the incentive to keep going,
Hmm.
um, and not lose faith in the fact that you are here for a reason.
Hmm.
A lot of people are here for a reason and not knowing what that reason is.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mhm.
And then we've also been told, now we do know we have a purpose and there's a reason for all of our existence, but when people are trying to discover identity and purpose or meaning,
Mhm.
oftentimes they think is one thing. And you
Yes.
can
Yes.
have several, and that's where I'm at
Yes.
now. And I could put myself on a platform and be just open and transparent. And we talk, in private or with both of you, that I know that I'm going through a significant change in my life. It is very significant.
Yeah. It's
It's been,
major.
yeah,
Yes, it's
it's very
major.
major. And it actually goes beyond what we talked about, midlife crisis. That's
Mhm.
what we painted. But when you are a person like Dad, you, myself, who are serious seekers and know that there is much more to what actually is going on, there's actually a bigger picture. And so
Mhm.
we're now waking up out of sleep where we're going against the grain of what we've been conditioned to think,
Yeah. Yeah.
so forth. And so I find myself in a place where, again, being a founder of a ministry, and I don't even want to say ministry, of a movement. I'll say that we're a founder of a movement. And, again, a bowl would be 24 years in November. But
Yeah.
I find my place knowing that there is something bigger, something more than that.
And I think that what you're saying is very, very crucial because you're now coming to a place, as I listen to you, I feel you coming to a place that of knowing that bowl was not the destination, but simply the gateway.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It was a beginning of a journey. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's funny that you said that because when I was doing the series on um, dealing with reconstruction, and a matter of fact, I preached it in Georgia, in Darrowsville, Georgia, on Father's Day. How the Lord showed me that when we watch different TV shows and they have, seasons, and to every season
Mm-hmm.
you may have
Mm-hmm.
8
Mm-hmm.
different seasons to a show, but in
Yeah,
each season there are several episodes.
exactly.
And
Exactly.
so when he showed me that thing had kind of really tickled me, for example, to understand that in each season there are different
Mhm.
episodes or different stages in that particular season. And then once that season comes to an end, we go into a transitional period, which is simply the space between two seasons. And so when you come into another season, then you're going to go through several episodes as well. And so
Mhm,
it's all part of evolution.
mhm.
And so I never thought about it that way, that we always talking about seasons, but sometimes we're describing episodes as seasons,
Yes,
understanding
yes,
that there's several divisions of that particular season.
yes, yes. You made me think of something I wrote, and I wanted to see if I could find it. Let's see. Yeah, here it is. It's called Life Is. Life is a series of crises and simple pleasures. You mentioned series,
Mhm.
dotted with occasional tragedies, sprinkled with fleeting episodes of overwhelming joy.
Wow.
To appreciate it, we must look inside of each crisis to discover the opportunity for change, each tragedy to bring what is most important into focus, each simple pleasure to uncover the beauty that surrounds us, each joyous moment to experience a little of heaven on earth. Fortunately, each day presents to us a means of evolving to become the best person that we can be. So treat every day as though it were your last, and in the end, you will look back with no regret and look forward with no fear or dread, knowing that this chapter is closed and the next book will be even more glorious.
Yes, yes,
You made
that's
me think of
great.
that.
That
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
is it in a nutshell.
That's
Yeah.
life. That's life.
Life, yes.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
life.
love the part that you because this has been my thought for the past weekend and a half, when you made the statement, live life as though it would be your last.
Yeah.
And I feel, from the religious systems that we came out of and where we were conditioned to think, I think we not knowingly, we was placed in a position of fear of not living our life to the fullness, all because
Yeah.
what they kept presenting us was sin consciousness. and
Yes.
and it put us in a prison of not really thinking that we're living, but we weren't living. We were still yet just existing, but we was existing in a religious uh box that we was placed in, and only to fit into something.
Yes. And
And
a
so
lot of yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And a lot of what I lived my life by was fear. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Everything was done because of fear.
Mm-hmm.
And I've made the decision not to live by that fear any longer. Uh,
Exactly.
I want to say hello.
Hello.
He got up early, and then went back to bed just to get a couple of winks before we started live. And so
I haven't
he
finished.
just got up. And he's a little, little
You say
woozy.
that you ain't finished.
He's still a little woozy, but we're glad he's here with me today. I'm glad he's here. I
Yes.
need you to lean this way a little bit when you get a chance, okay? But
And
Marvita's doing a book, I think. She said she's doing a book. She mentioned that to me before in a previous email. So it's our life is different chapters. There are different chapters and episodes and series. All of that is in our life. So, but we tend to mourn the episodes and the chapters that end, not
mm-hmm.
realizing there's another chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Even when we exit the body, there's another chapter. So
Exactly. And
yeah.
and I shared that a few weeks ago, that life itself is one big giant transition. It is,
Mhm.
because when we go to a funeral, and on the program, you will see they say sunrise and sunset, but
Mhm.
that little dash between sunrise and sunset is
That's your life.
that's life.
Yes, yes. It's what you do in the dash.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
it feels like that, and that it feels like it's that short, like that
Mhm.
little dash as well, because we've been married 54 years in August. It seems like
Wow.
that just happened for us. That feels like that just happened. That wedding, that marriage, all that feels like it just happened,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't feel like 54 years.
Exactly.
but that dash feels like just a brief moment. So our lives are just really, really a brief period of time out of eternity.
Mm-hmm.
And we think it's long, we have the impression that it's a long life, but it's not. It's a really short life, because before you know it, you're at the stage that we're at of being seniors, and they don't know how we got here, do we? We don't know how we got here.
Like a snap of a finger, you was there.
Exactly. So
Uh,
it isn't anything that the mind can grasp. It's beyond concepts. But anyway, we can move forward. Linda says seasons could also be different states of consciousness. Yeah,
yes,
yeah, exactly.
exactly.
Because I know that the level of consciousness that I'm at now is not the same level I was at when I was in my 20s or even 5 years ago.
Hmm. And it's funny that she said that, because I made mention of that last night, because we do, like you just said, in my 20s, yeah, I was very aware of a lot of different things. But then when I transitioned into my 30s, I
Mhm,
was much more aware of stuff that I was not aware of or conscious of in
mhm,
my 20s. And so that's why I know it is a process that we all go through.
mhm.
And so the struggle for so many is once again, they they have embraced, subconsciously, unknowingly, they have embraced what has been presented to them, and with fear again, in all a lot of systems, especially religious systems, they don't even have the understanding that a lot of what they're projecting on people, they're projecting it from a place of fear. They're
Mhm,
forbidding people to take
mhm,
their journeys. They're forbidding people to have open minds. If you open up your mind, or you become conscious of something that they are not conscious of, then you consider it a heretic. Well, welcome to the ministry of Jesus Christ in his life, because that's what he was
exactly.
considered.
Yeah,
He was
that's exactly.
considered a heretic because of his awareness.
Exactly. Wow. It's true. It's true. What you gonna talk about today? Are you gonna talk today?
Yeah, I'm just
Waiting to
listening.
see where we're gonna get somewhere and spark you. I do that with him all the time. I wait till you get someplace and then he'll spark me and I'll have something to say.
In order for us to come here, we had to put a bid in.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Not a bed, a
A
bid.
bid.
I love that, Dad. I love that.
The
Yes.
bid went in, and in the assortment of many bids that we had and put in other lifetimes of what they say, lifetime is only to the physical part. Lifetime was presented in front of all of us, life at a certain time in the evolution of every incarnation. To get into a different suit, we had to put a bid in to say, this is the one that I choose. And the reason why a lot of children, a lot of us come into the womb and have to be turned is because we slipped into the womb quicker than we thought we were going to get in, and we were in a bidding conference.
Mhm.
And we had already chosen that, but we hadn't turned around to look in the direction that we were coming away from.
Hmm.
Look in the direction of this new suit. So we got caught. So what the doctor, as an angelic being, not knowing it, would do, he takes his hand and turn us face to face with this side. And a lot of us didn't. We wanted to come, but we chose to go through this, uh, to go through and hear uh, each introduction to the cut, because there are certain things that we just recently went through. We're not supposed to actually know that until after we get here. and actually begin to experience the great turnaround. Jesus charged his disciples that they should tell no man the vision of the transfiguration. And then he came here, and at a certain time, he told the disciples uh, that they must go into Jerusalem, that he must go into Jerusalem and suffer. They didn't know that they were the sufferings of him all through their life. They are the sufferings of him. There is no such thing as Satan or demons or darkness overriding the purpose and destiny of evolution
Exactly.
in the suffering.
Yes.
We
yes.
are, out of ignorance of the ego, we are given the attention to an entity that really doesn't have anything to do with it.
It doesn't have any power over it. Right.
And actually is being used as an agent in our evolution. And it's funny that Dad mentioned that, because even and that's weird, because some of the things I said last night, because in me sharing last night, and we know I'm again a product of y'all as well. A lot that I said last night was not even scripted at all. It was coming to me as I was sharing. And one of the things that came to my attention on last night, when we read the scriptures, we must understand a lot of what we read are allegories or metaphors.
Yes.
And so I discovered last night that oftentimes when we use the term light and darkness or day and night, they are used as metaphors to describe a state of consciousness.
Yes.
And so, in essence, when again the series I began is awaken out of sleep, according to the scriptures. It is talking about, and then it says, "Go into the marvelous light." So that's let me know that when I'm in a state of being unaware or unconscious, I am actually in a state of sleeping.
Yes.
I'm not aware, and so that's when we use again night. All right. Then he talks about Paul talks about in his writings walking as if it was day.
Yes.
So that's the state of consciousness, me being aware, me being conscious of everything. And so I use, for example, for those of you that are jokesters, when someone was sleeping, we would do things to them. We would put, a feather in their ear, and they would, unconsciously, but still yet be asleep. We would put, when I was in the military, it was a thing that we used to do. We would put shaving cream in his hand, and then we'll touch their nose like that, and then hair smack. But this is happening because they are unconscious.
Yes.
And so, like I was sharing with them, the scripture talk about groping around in darkness. That is for a person that is feeling their way through something in the journey, being once again at a state of being unaware or unconscious.
Oh, that's good.
When you are conscious, you don't operate through feelings.
Exactly.
You operate through knowing, being. And so forth. And so I shared that on last night.
Oh, that was good. I like that, Pastor Norman.
Some of us didn't come directly from heaven.
Can I say something just before you get into it? When you said the sometimes that the evil or Satan or demons or whatever we call the devil is the agent, I thought about the children of Israel crossing the Red Sea. How that they were crossing that Red Sea, if the story is true. And they were just kind of muddling along, not getting across fast enough. But when they saw somebody coming after them, that one that was trying to kill him, that agent caused them to get up out of there.
Exactly.
They had to hurry up. So that was a way that it was used to speed them up to get across. So I like that about the agent. I'm sorry. Go ahead, babe.
Some of us came from another dimension, not directly from heaven. And then we just reported in. So you can report into heaven like now without any travel.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay, so here's what happened. We had just left from a body that died. Prior to that, we made enough contracts to cover many stages of being here, being in a different place, finitely thinking or seeing. A lot of times we come here and the suit that we, in conjunction with the parents, made, it was not completed and would not fulfill the destiny of our sacred contract. So we went back to correct errors.
Okay.
But these errors that we corrected, watch this now, here's the mystery to it. These errors that we corrected was put into it suffering at that time did not look like it do now. Then there were many times we saw what we were going to go through and decided to turn around and go back and tweak.
Yeah.
Oh, glory.
You're doing the Esther on Sanford and Son. Oh, glory. Oh, glory.
Y'all just really made me have a vision of
Oh,
Esther.
Lord have mercy. This thing is so, this is so good.
Oh, glory.
So that's the reason why I tell certain ones that you used to be my mom and you used to be my mother. And it says, Jesus said, who is my mother and father? He's making a statement with a question. Which one of y'all was my mother in another lifetime? And which one of us played the part that I'm playing? Let's just say this. Jesus, the Christ that we are, died different ways for salvation. Like when I went down into the earth of the world of the ant, the ant knew that salvation had reached them. So he took me there to show me the gratitude that they had for the suffering that they have gone through, many people stepping on them and mashing them.
Mm-hmm.
This is real now. Some ants see Jesus often in the ant world, and they reverence him in the ant world as well as the fish and the bears and the rabbits and squirrels and
Everything. Every living thing.
And that's why, if the story is correct, Adam and Eve had dominion over all these things because he was introduced to them as the man that conquered the water world and conquered space and space travel. Mm-hmm. And he used some of us found out how to use this. Is what he's saying to me now. I hear him say, some of us didn't have our flight charts completely finished because we came fast. That's why some babies don't even don't even have to go through suffering to have them, and then some of them mothers have to have cesareans. So the mother who had Lord, I didn't know all this was going to be described. Oh God, I can see it.
You seeing it? You have to help us see it.
Oh Lord.
Wow.
Some mothers had to go through a lot of pain for the reason of delaying the event of birthing brought forth, because the time, and you say the event arose. In Star Trek, it's a place called Event Horizon. The event come up sooner. Somebody was asking sooner for an arrival, event horizon arrival, before we would finish building, structuring, and working on the plans. Then some of us came here to finish the plans inside the stomach. Talk to a baby and ask the child what is inside. And many of them, if you do it enough, they'll tell you that they were delayed. And then some of them had to come into the womb for the parent to not want them to come here for the explicit purpose of attaining and fulfilling the contract. So our contracts to come here are fulfilled in so many different ways through events in the womb, so that we could actually be what you might say, be in the right to seal, to sanction the right cup that we were going to ride in. Some of it came flying, some came riding, some came walking, some came from other dimensions in sleep. Yeah. But at any rate, suffering in this dimension is a part of the sleep that we have to wake up from.
Yeah. Well, I wanted that was good. And you said a lot right there, a whole lot. I wanted to kind of backtrack just a little bit to something that Pastor Norman was addressing, and that was being unconscious. We talked about that at the very beginning of the session, being unconscious, and you gave the analogy of somebody being asleep and you're doing something to them while they're asleep, and they they move, they act, but they're still unconscious, they're still asleep. Exactly. And I had the thought come to me that illusion only happens in unconsciousness. So the illusion of being separate, the illusion of being threatened, all of those, that only happens when you're in the unconscious state. And I'm going to use baby as an example. How he was taking his nap before coming down for the live stream. He was asleep, and he was in a deep sleep, but he was also in that state of dreaming.
REM. So we call it REM.
Yeah. So I was in the restroom putting my face on, and I looked in there because I heard him moving around, and I looked in there to see what he's doing, and he's kind of talking, and so he had his hands up like this, and he's this morning, I mean, just before we went live, and he's doing his hand like this, looking at his head, and he said, "Oh, that finger," and so I went in there, and I came to you. You don't remember that, do you? I came to you, and I said, because he started to get up out of bed, and he was talking about his finger. Said, "See that finger?"
Yeah,
and I said, "Sweetheart, you're dreaming. You're dreaming." But the illusion happened in the unconscious state.
I remember saying that.
That is so funny, because that was another thing that I made a statement of people talking in their sleep. Having a full conversation.
Yes.
Who that is now conscious for listening.
Yes.
The conscious one is listening.
Yes.
But so now when they become conscious, you're now telling them, well, you was talking in your sleep, and you said, "Nah, I didn't do like that. Just did." Nah.
How many conversations have we had in our sleep? How many conversations? How many things have we acted out in our sleep that were not even real? They were illusions, acting out of an illusion of something that we thought was real. And I think that a lot of us have kind of lived our whole lives that way, not realizing that we need to be dehypnotized from the trance that we've been in.
And
it takes somebody to come up and to let you know you're sleeping.
Exactly.
This isn't real.
Exactly.
And then he came to himself, like, "Oh, okay."
And that's all those like yourselves and so many others who are actually sharing with us from an awakened state. That's what you're doing. You're really trying to wake some of us out. And what I used to describe what you talked about was an actual nightmare. You're acting out, and you're reacting to an illusion, something that is not real,
even real,
not your reality. And so that is helping us to understand that all that we are encountering and stuff, it's not our true reality. Exactly. We are reacting to an illusion that we created from an unconscious state.
So when we say this life isn't real, this is all an illusion, we're not saying it doesn't exist. We're saying it's not what you think it is.
Exactly. It's a total different dimension.
Exactly.
And
And
Dad said something earlier, and I shook my head when he was saying it, when he was talking about Adam and Eve, because that's what I actually have sitting in front of me right now.
you mean
When
Adam and Eve is sitting in front of you right now?
no, well, I'm talking about the Genesis. I'm talking about the Genesis narrative.
No, they're sitting there. They're sitting there.
All right, but the reason why, and I've been on this thing for another week and a half. The scripture, there's one scripture every single day, just for the sake of understanding, is plaguing me. Is constantly resting in my thoughts, and it's Genesis 1:26, when God said, "Let us make man in our own image," and then after Adam and Eve had supposedly eaten from the forbidden tree, then the statement was made, they have now become like us. All right. So this thing with us, that us just kept
Us.
over and
Us.
over and over. And so I found myself in a position, and I was, because Mom, you made a statement a couple of Tuesdays ago, when you said you now know the definition of uh, procrastination.
Mm-hmm.
It is the fear of, you said, the fear of moving on, or the fear of,
It's the fear of succeeding.
exactly. And so I was in this place now, what has been presented to us, that in that particular scripture, the us there, we're making reference to the Trinity.
Mm-hmm.
But see, I'm a
Mm-hmm.
thinker.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a creative thinker. And so something hit me. When we say the Trinity, we're talking about God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So Jesus makes the statement, God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. So now, if we're saying that the Trinity is actually three phases or three dimensions of the Trinity, well, we know Jesus is considered to be the natural part of that Trinity, the word that became flesh.
Mm-hmm.
Then we talk about the Holy Spirit. So who's Father?
Right. Right.
You see, and that thing hit me.
Yeah.
Who's Father?
Yeah.
If there's three different significant distinctions of essence there, all right, who is Father? And so I've been battling with it. I haven't said it to no one. I even mentioned it to my wife for yesterday. I said,
Oh, excuse me.
all right.
We didn't unplug our phone. Just, honey, grab it quick. Grab it quick.
That tournament, so I don't want to have to do.
I have to stop it, honey. I can't leave it ringing.
Yeah.
Unplug it, sweetheart.
So-
Sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that. Go ahead, Pastor.
So I said, why are we accepting that the us is just about the Trinity, or some creative thinkers and theologians say the us actually making reference to the angelic host?
Right.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
And the scriptures you read, and Dad mentioned it earlier, and when we was talking about the enemy being the Satan, or I'll just use that word, Lucifer, being used as an agent in our a process of evolution, which is very evident in Jesus when he was led into the wilderness to be tempted by the tempter. So that's, he's being used as an agent, but it was to reveal it was the testing of his identity. That's what I want you to understand. It was actually a testing of his identity.
Yeah.
But then look at the story of Job, and that made how we are to report to heaven.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
And so there came a time where all the angelic beings had to make a report to God.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Lucifer was in the midst of them.
Yeah.
See, everybody have this concept or idea that Lucifer has no access to heaven.
But he always had it.
He always did. And then he again, in our teaching, we have presented as if he's living in hell. Well, if that's the case, how is he having access when according to the narrative, when God called for all the angels to come?
Mhm.
to the council room and to make a report. He's in the midst.
In the midst, used as an agent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so we have just accepted without, again, from a unconscious state.
Mhm.
We have accepted whatever someone has introduced to us while we were sleeping, which means it is
Yeah.
keeping us in a hypnotic state.
We have accepted what we think is real, but only seeing the illusion.
Exactly.
We have
And
accepted.
reacting to the illusion.
Yeah. We've accepted what we saw in that illusion, in our unconscious state, and then when we wake up, it's not even, there's no contest between God and any evil. There's no contest. How can evil do anything to God?
Exactly. Nothing.
Absolutely.
All it can do is assist.
Yes, it's like an ant trying, or a flea trying to beat an elephant. It is absolutely ridiculous. It can't happen. And so I wanted to say this too. These sessions that we have for impromptu is really good, especially for people who have been churched, or even for those who have been unchurched, because a lot of people who have not been churched, who have a resentment against Christianity, they see Christianity as something that keeps people from waking up, but it does not.
Exactly.
True Christianity will bring you to awakening. We're proof that will happen, because the three of us are pastors. This is what pastors look like when they wake up.
Ooh, I love that, Mom.
And
I love that.
this is what pastors talk about when they wake up.
I look like this.
When they're no longer living, when they're no longer unconscious, they're no longer living an illusion through the illusions.
This is what I look like when I just woke
This
up.
is what you look like. Yes.
But
I think it's important that people who listen to us know that
drink on that one.
We're not talking from the same place. Somebody who's been practicing spirituality all their lives, or for a period of time through other spiritual texts, sacred textbooks. We've gotten where we are from the Bible.
Exactly.
And from our encounter with God. So this is very, very important, that there is a place for awakened pastors that can speak to people the same as any other spiritual community and bring them to the place of awakening.
Yes.
There is no religion that will cause a person not to wake up.
And that, Mom, when you said that is Bible. And the reason why I said that is because let's look at Paul, who was formerly known as Saul. He was a very religious individual, very well educated.
Yes.
He was part of the sect of the Pharisees, holding a high position.
Yes.
And when he awakened, it did not come from what he studied, what was presented or taught to him. He woke up from an incident that happened to him on the road of Damascus.
Yes.
And he immediately shifted within his consciousness. He immediately shifted within his identity. So everything he began to share after that did not come from the Quran, the Torah, all the things that he was educated. It came from a place of awakening and receiving revelation and insight.
Yes. And there's a scripture for that, Pastor Norman. I know you read it. It's in Galatians, where Paul said this. Let's see if I can get to it quickly. Where he said this. He said, I certify you, brethren, that the gospel which was preached of me is not after man. In other words, I didn't hear it from anybody.
Yes.
For I neither received it of man, nor was I taught it, but by the revelation of Jesus Christ.
Yes.
So at the revelation of Jesus Christ is where we got to this.
And that's why he was able to say there are many that are forever learning, but never coming to the knowledge of the truth.
Exactly.
So when y'all make the statement, again, that what you're going to come to know, that's the best way I can come to know. It's not necessarily going to be coming from reading a lot of books,
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
running
Mm-mm.
to a lot of different
Mm-mm.
services, and
Right.
so forth.
Right.
And Dad made a statement in the beginning of what he's saying when it's even mentioned in Matthew 16 verse 20, after he had proposed the question, whom do men say that I am?
Yeah.
And then he asked her, who do you say that I am? Then we
Yeah.
know what Peter. But in verse 20, he makes a statement: do not tell anybody who I am.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So now
Mm-hmm.
he's making a statement. In order for anyone to know who I am, it's going to have to be done the same way that it was
Yeah.
revealed to Peter.
It's gonna have to be revelation. And see, and that is what Dad and I were completely in the box. We were just like every other Christian who believed different things. And when we saw Jesus on the steps, that was grace. That was grace. When the two of us had the revelation of Jesus Christ, we had already accepted Jesus in our hearts, the Christian way. We had already gone to church, all of those things, received the Holy Spirit, all of the rituals that we teach and preach. But we had the revelation of Jesus Christ after the fact. And when that revelation came to us, when we were graced to see Jesus Christ in my mom and dad's house as we were staying upstairs, and mom and dad, we were living with them when we first got married. We saw Jesus come down the stairs. The two of us saw it come down those stairs. We were standing in my mom and dad's bedroom because every night we wanted to go pray with the family before we go to bed. He came down those stairs, stopped on the landing, and pointed his finger at us and said, "Stay in the way." It was
Wow.
it was through that seeing, and it wasn't a vision because we both saw it, and we saw the weave of his garment, we saw the color of his skin, we saw the light that was in his hair and the light that was, we saw all of that, and from that we've been getting revelations ever since.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, but when he came down the stairs, and he's already told you guys this many times, I had built him a prayer closet under the stairs. He would come down, my husband would come down every night, go around the corner, get in that closet for prayer and quiet time, waiting for an encounter. Jesus came down those stairs mimicking the very thing that he always did. That said to us, the oneness.
Wow.
So we've gotten revelation on top of revelation. So I always say we woke up from the imparted lessons that we got by revelation. There was no book, there was no teaching. We saw it. And when you see it, your whole life, we came out of the illusion. Now, did we wake up and automatically start preaching what we're doing now? No, but we always had this ingredient. It was always this ingredient, and as our awareness has expanded in it, we came to this, and I'm sure there's more that we're going to come to. But there is no reason that anybody should not be able to wake up. I don't care what religion they're in.
Exactly.
There
And
is
you made a statement that when y'all both saw Jesus, and that's significant in itself, because you don't hear of too many people having those events where there is a group or more than one having that exact encounter and experience at the same exact time. That is very rare. But the statement, when you said it, it jumped out to me. He said to y'all, "Stay in the way."
Mm-hmm.
Well, for Christians, so that we say, that's what we were formerly known. The people in the way.
Mm-hmm. The people of the way.
That's what we was formerly known in Acts 9, verse 2.
Mm-hmm.
The people of the way.
Of the way.
Not
Exactly.
Christians,
Yeah.
but the people of the way.
People of the way.
Yeah.
So, and
Now,
that's all we've been teaching and preaching since, is that.
there is an angel, a light being that is called coming to earth. That's his name. That's what they call him. There's a light being called no more separation. There's a light being that is called separation. And they all counseled on the hall of record. The download and the data was made into us so that we wouldn't be able to see it until we understood the impact of our identity. If I show you this without you going through certain things, it would come off of your back like water off a duck's back, duck feathers or duck dowels. So we became all the measurements and the numbers of the different parts of our body came directly from the parts house. We went and visit the parts stores in different dimension chambers, and we said we're gonna have this leg this way, we're gonna have that leg this way, and we're gonna be this tall, and we're gonna be this short, and this is the size shoe. Now, everybody in this dimension is wearing Jesus. Everybody in this dimension is wearing his shoe size. One size fit all. But all the eyes that we picked out were eyes that was in the tray of seeing through these eyes with different colors. Then we picked out the different colors that we were going to see in this dimension. And we drew a picture and an image of us in the record room. And then we decided if there was any decision. This was done at light speed now. It wasn't done like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday was injected into it because that was the only way we could come into this dimension by seeing these days and times, which was the sleeping moments. We didn't come here to stay asleep. We came here to wake up. We didn't come here to find out what was apostle possums, squirrels, or rabbits. We came here to see this and to wake up in it in a remote viewing we had of seeing the whole thing. One of the most important things that I've had to face was in the moment of brokenness. I said this: I want to see you. And then I turn around and I say, turn around inside and let me see you as me. Then I would change it and say, and here it is. You won't start seeing him until you say this, but you may have another way of doing it. But I just say, for the moment, for the finite moment. And I got to check inside about that. I didn't say it right. I tell him all the time, and I use my dog that way. I see you. I want to see you more. I want to see you. And he does not answer that. Each time I say this, I want to see you, and I see you. He will not let me answer that without seeing him as myself. He will not answer that unless any other way than me seeing the ugliest, meanest snake in the world is him. I got that thing.
Yeah,
And each time you see that, it's a death to the past blindness. Blindness die and is released from the consciousness 24/7, as many minutes as seconds, and seconds as minutes into the no time zone. I remember the voice that I heard that said when I first met him in this dimension, awareness, I love you, Jesus. I kept wondering, who is this saying that? And I went way down deep into the hall of eternity, and I saw that small, still voice inside of me was the Christ me talking to me, telling me that he loved the Christ. I'm trying to turn it around and make it sound like the way it's supposed to be, but it's impossible. But I do know that we came and pretended like we came from somewhere, but we never left heaven.
Yeah.
None of us never ever left heaven.
And because that
Hell is not a lie; it's a metaphor.
right,
Exactly.
right. Yeah, I want to backtrack again. For those who hear us talking as pastors who have awakened, the Bible can be used to further your awakening if it's not taken literally.
Yeah.
If you're able, through your open eyes, to be able to decode, to find the revelation that's in it, that's there. And I want to say this, that those who are still locked in the confines of religion, whether it be Christian, Muslim, whatever, those that are locked in the confines of that, believe that they're already free. They are having fun, they're rejoicing, they're getting victories, and they think that they're out of the prison. They think they're in freedom, but they are like the prisoner who's just been let out into the prison yard. There's still the fences and the guards because they're still bound by fear. They're still bound by limitations. They're still bound by their own limiting beliefs. So they're not free. They're just in the prison yard where they can be more free. They can act more free.
Exactly.
They're experiencing a little bit more of the liberty because they're not as bound as they were before. But they're not bound. They're not free until they either break out or they're let out.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about how that when a prisoner is in prison, there are some who are afraid to try to break out. And then there are some who are very courageous and they do whatever they have to do, even if they have to die to do it, to get out.
Mm-hmm.
We talked to death.
Well,
And we told
quite
it.
Finished.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll be finished in a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
So it takes great courage to break out of the confines of religion and still love those that are in it and still love the institution of it, because you can see through the illusion that people are caught up in and be the alarm clock for them.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have to stop being pastors because we woke up.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? We don't have to stop being Christian ministers because we woke up. Now I'm finished. I
don't forget it.
While you try to remember, because I definitely want to respond to what Mom said, and also with the man of the universe, a statement he made. Sometimes seems that the church doesn't get it. When I read that, it was funny because I made a statement in reference to that on last night. But I love what you said, Mom, because when you said that, I know this for a fact, and I did something two Sundays ago at my church where we gather and have service. I decided not to do it in the normal way we would do it. I sat in a chair and I said, you know what we're going to do today? We're going to have a Q&A on a Sunday service now. I wasn't concerned about getting no mic in my hand, preaching to people happy, all this and that and that. I said, because I know there's many of you out there that have questions that you have had for so many years. And
Yes.
we have been placed in this box of a Sunday services when we come sing our praise and worship song, and then the preacher preaches, and then we give the benediction and we go home.
Yeah.
And you still ignorant concerning the things that you've been questioning for so many years in your life.
Exactly.
And so
Exactly.
I said, this is going to be totally out of the box. Some of y'all may not like it, but I was courageous enough to say, we're going to do something different.
Courageous. That is the first step to enlightenment.
Exactly. And so I know that to be true because being a pastor all of these years, I shared my story. The pandemic set me free,
Mhm.
literally set me free because I saw I was being confined. I was in a prison. Yes, we would have our good times. And of course, I counsel as well. There are so many people that come to me, I need to talk to you, I need to have, and they are miserable. Now, how is it you just had a hard time in that service
And you're still miserable.
and now you need to talk to me and you still yet miserable?
Hmm.
So you are absolutely right. They have bought into this prison, all
Yeah.
right, of
Yeah.
religious conditioning. And so I did that. I said, I want to know where y'all are. I want to know what is the questions, because we could do this over and over and over. And most of the topics that we preached it so many times before. We just added different titles and so forth. You know, topic of faith, topic of miracles. How many more messages do you need on that? How many more? And so some of them asked me questions concerning what's actually going on in our age and time, in our backyard right now. And I was able to answer.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah. Yeah.
Man of the Universe made a statement.
Yeah. Let me
Um,
go back to it.
he presented, because I shared this last night, and then I'm done. All right.
Yeah.
And sometimes it seems that the church doesn't get it. Then they will say something that tells me they do. And
Hmm.
so I use something that Dad taught us many years ago. And I know it has happened with me. There have been times where, and I see it in the church today, there are leaders and preachers that they will preach a such a way that is presenting that they're ignorant or that they are still yet preaching from a place of being unconscious, unaware. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And then something will come out of their mouths that
Hmm.
will cause something to leap in me. And I'm like, you know something, but you are afraid
Not
to tell
telling.
the people. Because
Yeah.
if you tell the people, it is going to destroy the religious conditioning that you oppose upon them. It's going to affect your money. It's some people, they walk away from the church and
Hmm.
everything if you would be honest and transparent of what you woke up to. And
Exactly.
so
Exactly.
I've noticed, based off the something Dad taught many years ago back in the 80s, about this inner switch we have.
Okay.
There are times where we could be in a place of being unconscious, and all of a sudden that switch
Mhm.
would go off and we would slip over into our authentic self,
Yeah.
totally unaware.
Exactly. And something come out that you didn't realize was going to
And it
come
was like,
out.
did I just say that? And totally against what was taught to us.
Yeah.
And so he's absolutely right.
Yeah.
There are times where many of the preachers, and that's why I know we're going through a major shift. And I
Yeah.
don't want to say the church, it is a universal shift,
Yes, it
literally a
is. It is.
universal shift where
Yes.
people that have been placed in the confines of religion are waking up,
We
but
are.
they're looking for others that have awakened as well.
They're looking for their community.
Exactly.
And that community is not so much exclusive. It's all inclusive. And Carlton Pearson coined the term inclusivity,
Mhm.
but it's inclusive. So it doesn't have boundaries. This community accepts and embraces everyone in whatever stage of life they're in.
Mhm.
And so it isn't like an us against them. It's very broad.
Exactly.
I won't say broad, it's very expansive. It's all encompassing. Everyone's my brother. Everyone's
Exactly.
my sister.
Yeah.
So everyone's my member.
Mm.
So there are no boundaries.
There was a man named George Mueller.
Familiar with
I
George.
studied him years ago.
Mhm.
He ran an orphan, if I said it right, for children. And they sat down with a long, long table like the one I saw Jesus sitting at in the council room.
Mhm.
And the children all sat around the table with their bowls, their spoons, and forks and plates.
Mhm.
And he prayed for food to feed those children.
Mhm.
I was hungry and you fed me not.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody knocked on the door, and every bit of food that they needed for all those children
Mhm.
was put in their plate.
And all he did was set the table
All they do
and
was set the
position
table.
themselves. That's called, and we're really over time, but that's called the let there be's. That's not the go get it or let's make it happen, but that's the let there be. And that was the original way everything was created. When, if the narrative is true, God said, let there be, let there be.
Okay.
Everything already existed. It didn't have to be made.
Okay, here it is.
That's
The
it.
last one. The last one.
The last one.
Suffering and pain is divine because we have to use it to find out how to hit the toggle switch. A toggle switch is that one that flips up and down and you can flip it to the left and the right. Hit it in any direction. Find out that pain is a divine order because we have to find out through the merger of this suffering and pain how to, in this dimension, get back and take our identity that we have always been. So, being born again and a new birth experience is a metaphor for what is already us. It is already in everybody.
Yeah.
This is what Brother Pearson had problems with from the church because he said, is it possible that everybody's already saved and don't know it?
Mhm. Mhm.
That's as we said. That's
They
exactly.
haven't had the revelation.
And resistance from the peanut crowd, or what do you call it?
The peanut gallery.
The peanut gallery is to go against that in order to heighten and increase the awareness in Carlton and us that what they are doing to resist what we said, it must be like that.
Mm-hmm.
It must be a barbecue on the grill
Don't start
event.
that, Dad. You talking my talk.
We got barbecue. We get barbecued by coming here, and then God raises. Oh, it's almost like I want to say, if you say anything that God does and do and did, you're talking about in oneness what we do, did, and said.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because we the do right boys and girls.
Yeah. Wrap it
All
up.
right, the do right boys. I like that. I like that. The do right boys and girls.
It's wrapped. It's already wrapped.
Hey, man, he done woke up now.
I told him to wrap it up. I like what Kelly said. She said it's a universal reset.
Exactly.
You
And
know,
I used that terminology on last night as well. I just want to read this one verse real quick because Dad said something that caused it. And this is where I started my series on Awaken last night. And it comes from Romans chapter 13, verse 11. And that knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep. For now is our salvation nearer than when we believed.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Mm.
yes.
And Mom,
That's
you
like
make that statement. All right.
Hey.
Because if I believe according to what we've been taught, when you believe in stuff, okay, you are saved, but it's saying when we wake, it's high time to wake up out of sleep, that our salvation is nearer than when we believed.
Yes.
And
Waking up.
making reference to a different stage of consciousness.
Yes.
Waking up is the only way a train can have a flat tire. Waking up is the only way a bird can fly backwards. Waking up is the only way a bullfrog can remain watertight.
How about this one? Waking up is the only way a butterfly will see winter.
That's good.
Let me tell you this.
That's good.
I was out there, the guy washing the car in the Jeep yesterday, and around 12 noon, it was hard as a pancake on the fire. I looked down, and he was getting ready to throw a mat down on the driveway, and I was almost trying to stop him, but it was too late, so I left it alone. I have never seen so many red ants employed in the sun. I looked around, and they looked like 50s and hundreds of them are going back and forth and bumping into each other and back and forth and turning. But as the sun began to seemingly set, or the earth began to revolve away from the sun in this place we're standing, I looked around at sunset, and all the ants left their job and went home.
Mm-hmm.
And they shut down. I went back out there, not an ant, and they were all over the driveway. I mean, it was a slew of them. And all of a sudden, they shut down shop. I saw this yesterday. I saw them. I communicated with them, and they stopped. No more ants on the driveway. No more ants coming. They were going just like this. Just like they were thousands. Yeah, they going. I looked at them. I'm trying to follow every one of them to see where they're going. And then over in the evening, I went back out there, and it dawned on me. It like Spirit said, "Look down." I looked down. Well, nobody there.
The shift was over.
Yeah,
That happens a lot here, and I witnessed that a lot. And most of the time, when you will see ants like that come out, especially when it's super hot like that, is after there's been much rain.
Okay.
And then they will come, like Dad just said, perfect description. You will see a bunch of them at one time, and then all of a sudden, it's not even a few hours later. It could be 30 minutes later, and then they're all gone, just like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Just
That's
like
amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Well, look, guys, we have been here an hour and 13 minutes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but thank you guys for hanging in there with us today. This has been a great conversation, by the way. Great conversation.
I'm
Yes.
saying for the people, I think we need to have more than just Thursday impromptu.
Well, you know, I don't know. I feel you on that, because I was just sitting here and I was thinking we need to do some teachings together.
Mhm.
Some teachings together. We'll collaborate on that. Okay.
All
But
right.
anyway, I'm glad you guys came in to see us. Israel, good to have you with us today. Been a while since we saw you on here. And Kelly and James, good to have you guys.
Yeah, we did. James, he called, made a
Call
call.
us while
Let's-
we're online.
Briefly, what was the call? I mean, we were online. We couldn't talk to you.
You call us while we're online. Anyway, we love you guys. Linda, we love you, sweetie pie. Marvita, we love you, sweetie pie.
Yes.
Thank you guys, man of the universe. Thank you. So many of you came in today. Leslie, Miracle Lux Vault, Foot Vault. That's a strange handle, but I maybe we
Please
get it.
see that
I
there.
was thinking that earlier too. I was trying to figure that one
Foot
out.
I never heard of that one.
Miracle Lux Football. That's a strange handle, but it's
Mhm.
okay. It's okay. We love you guys. We'll see you again next Thursday. Hopefully things will be the same. Pastor Norman will be free. He's not going to be a slacker, as Linda said.
Only again, because we do not know when the homegoing services are going to be.
For
So,
your wife's family.
yeah, so we're waiting to hear, because I know I have to minister somewhere at another church on Wednesday night, and so we don't know if we have to leave that Thursday or not. So I will let y'all know. I'm gonna try my best, Linda, to not be a slacker.
Yeah, and it's almost like, I know I would love to do impromptus more on a different day, but it's like those days have something else happening on them, and I don't want to interfere with all of that. So for now, we'll stay on Thursday at 12:30. We'll be back next week, and hopefully Pastor Norman will be free.
James and Miss Kelly, I just felt my inner self praying for your mother, Miss Kelly. I heard the prayer go off. I don't know what that means, but I just did.
Okay, very good. Love you guys. We'll see you next time. And
All
by
right.
the way, all three of us will be on live on Sunday. Pastor Norman's live at 11, and we're live at 10. So
Thank you for the gifts.
yeah, he always comes to our live,
Yeah.
and sometimes I watch his live. So
I gotta watch y'all. Before I get
Linda said she missed you too. I did too. I missed
y'all
you.
too, Linda.
Yeah. You add so much to the conversation that we love, and we love you. But we're taking off now, guys, and we'll see you later.
Okay.
Y'all have a great day.